I don't hear you, but I hear me. What did I do? Just the usual here at 11th Hour Radio, streaming live from South Royalton, Vermont, where technical difficulties are the norm. Yes. No, I can't hear you, Kendra. Did somebody unplug your mic?
It's possible.
All right, let's see. Mic 4 is up.
How about now? Can you
I don't know. Maybe I'll try mic 3 and see if you're there. Try it now.
Am I there?
No, you're not there. No. Okay, let's see. What else can I do? What kind of magic tricks do I have in my...
What about this little button? Nope.
No, it's not a button issue. Is it the heat? She's unplugging the mic. She's plugging it back in. We're following the cord. The thing with this is you don't really know if something's wrong until you're on the air. That's how it goes here. Because you can't test it in advance. I mean, you can try to look at the chords. Let's see. How about take that cloth off of that thingy. Now we're going to look at the other mixing board, the alternate.
This doesn't appear to be on at all.
No.
Actually, it was
Okay.
I don't even think it's plugged in.
Yeah, you know what I see? I'm just gonna turn this down. I'm gonna try one thing. Okay. Right.
This is mic 3.
Okay. Talking to your mic now.
Hello.
Yeah, you know what it is? Somebody had pressed this button, A/B, program assign on your channel.
Oh, A/B, program assign, otherwise known as muting my mic.
Exactly.
MMM.
So thank you.
M cubed.
I just want to thank that slacker DJ that did that.
Thanks.
Just keep
Thanks.
us on our
Other
toes.
Amateurs.
Amateurs. I love that word.
Amateur. Check your schedule, you amateurs.
Yeah, man. Like, get off our backs.
Actually, just turn my mic back on. Gosh.
Yeah, we're doing the best we can here.
Which is not always great, so you really got to compensate for that, everybody else.
You know, it seems to me that there's people listening that might relate to it.
I'm sure they do. This is actually just a shtick we do.
Yes,
We're super competent, really.
We're modeling. We're modeling being at a disadvantage in life, like having things just go wrong, even though you're doing everything right.
That's right. I mean, I feel like, Kristina, you and I generally are doing everything right. I think
really?
that is a blanket statement that we could make.
Where did you get that idea from?
that's my perception of life.
Okay.
I don't know about you.
All right. Well, let me think about that for a minute. Am I doing everything right? Well, there is that sense that I try as hard as I can.
There you go.
And sometimes the trying just doesn't muster up enough. It's like trying to ring the bell at the fair with the mallet.
Oh, with the mallet.
And it doesn't
I've never tried that. Like, I secretly want to really bad. I want it to be like a movie where I hit it and it like hits the top and everyone around is like, whoa.
You should do it because,
that would not happen.
Yeah, but you work on a farm, so your upper body strength is probably pretty good.
It's okay. It's all right. I mean, if they had a competition for like lifting a full bin of carrots, I would definitely, come in pretty high on that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty well practiced there.
Well, why don't you go on the Thursday of the Tunbridge Fair?
I never go
when
on
all
Thursday.
the kids. Oh, it's the best day.
It's senior discount day. I went last year and was on the radio with Emily, and we were probably pretty boring because the whole time we're just staring at everybody up on Antique Hill.
Yeah, that's kind of fun.
Forgetting to talk.
Yeah, I know.
Because we were in the gazebo. It was live.
It's also Kid Day, free Kid Day.
Oh, that's right.
All the schools come.
Yep.
But then, the kids have to go back to school to get their buses to go home. So in the afternoon.
Not if you're from Tunbridge.
That's
you just
right.
get to stay there.
And
they just let you loose. It's like a 1 mile playground.
I love
it's like
that.
A playpen.
Yeah, my kids.
For preteen playpen. That should be actually the Tunbridge Fair's new motto.
Well, you know what's up there today? Did you notice?
Yes, I did.
The Woodstock,
in local news.
Woodstock Dog Show.
Dog show. Had I only known, I could have dropped my dog off at the Woodstock Dog Show playpen.
I don't think there's daycare for dogs at the dog show.
I don't think my dog would be welcome at that dog show.
I kind of doubt it.
Considering her penchant for barking at people that she doesn't know.
Yeah, that would be...
She's very friendly, but she just likes to really let you know she doesn't know you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sounds a little vicious while she's doing it.
Well, just don't go to the dog show.
That's right.
Kendra.
I won't be.
Well, by the way, I just want to introduce my co-host for today.
That's right. With a mic.
Yes, Kendra Colburn, who's been with us before, of course, for you regular listeners. I'm sure you're happy to have Kendra back for a day.
Hi, guys. Just for an hour. Yeah. I mean, a little less.
It's wonderful that when Emily goes away on vacation that I get to hang out with you.
Yeah, I'm excited.
It's a special treat.
Some good metaphysical exploration of the human condition.
Yeah, what about that human condition?
Oh, gosh.
What do you think about it?
It's pretty hot. This human's condition has been warm and tired and a little overwhelmed by world events.
Yes, there's that. I mean, first of all, what have you been doing all week? What kind of work have you had?
I have had farm work and vegetable farm work, and I canceled a day of cleaning, which means that I'm going to do some today and some next week, and some farmers marketing. It was hot as the dickens at that Woodstock market on the Green on Wednesday.
Oh, jeez.
But I was selling meat that was frozen, so at least it wasn't something hot.
How do you keep it frozen?
It stays in coolers.
Yeah, that does it well enough. I mean, if
it's
something...
only 3 hours, so yeah, it stays pretty good. It stays pretty frozen.
Yeah, and then whatever doesn't get sold goes back
in the freezer.
Okay.
Which actually, it's an interesting thing. I'm not the farmer, so I don't have the discretion to kind of share the wares with the other vendors, which is a bummer because I don't know if you know this, but at the farmer's market, there's like there's a kind of a backstage buddy thing going on with all the vendors. They kind of, everybody who has perishable goods, they're not going to use them afterwards, so they'll just give them out, or you do a lot of trading and stuff. It's pretty cool, but I can't really do it. Because it's not mine, and it's all just going back in the freezer.
I see. Because you're not the boss man.
I'm not the boss. I'm not the meat boss. That is not a title that I keep.
Yeah.
I'm the meat underling.
What are you the boss of?
Me, mostly.
Okay.
And my dog.
Nice. All right. But not doing a great job with the dog.
I mean, I boss her around plenty.
I think you're doing the best you
can. She doesn't necessarily listen. Always. She's her own dog.
Yeah. I know that kind of parenting.
It's nicer than real human kids because she can't talk. So
I love that.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
I mean, the only time that works to a disadvantage is when your dog gets sick and then you want it to be able to talk to you and tell you what's the problem. But
Yeah.
yeah, I was working a job this week, and there were these two lovely dogs on the job, and Kazaa is just the sweetest little dog, and the other one is named Daka, and they sit under the bush while I work on the garden. And I feel like somehow they're contributing to the whole effort, and I really like having them there. And unfortunately, yesterday Kazaa was not feeling well.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so I think he took a trip to the vet, but I was so
bummer.
sad. I went over to pet him a little bit, and he just hardly responded. So that was kind of a bummer yesterday.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah, poor
I tend
Kazaa.
to have dogs. I've had 2 dogs in my life that were just mine, that I was the boss of, and they were both real stoics, which sucks when they're sick, because they won't say, they don't tell you.
And they'll just
until it's really bad.
Yeah, and then you have
And then suddenly you have a very ill dog, or like the ear infection is like wildly advanced.
Yeah, and then sometimes you just have like 3 days and they're gone.
Yeah, well, that has not happened to me, luckily, knock on wood,
No,
but that could happen, I guess.
Yeah. So, it's been so hot.
I know, it's funny, I have a friend from Alabama. Shout out to Georgia Pearl. Should you be listening? You should be. You're not doing anything else. She's on vacation up here in Western Mass right now, but she's going to come up to Vermont. And I visited her in Western Mass a few weeks ago, and it was super hot. It was like 90 degrees. And I was complaining, of course. And she said it's not hot.
Oh.
She said this is not hot. She grew up in Alabama and now lives in Houston. Apparently, Kristina, this isn't hot.
So we shouldn't assume that we know much about temperature.
I guess not.
Okay.
I think it's hot because I have chilly northern blood, and I prefer it stay chilled.
Yeah, me too. I that pickaxe situation the other day.
Pickaxe. That's the other thing, is I think my lovely southern poet friend doesn't go outside during the day. So that's a little bit of a difference when you spend the whole day outside.
That's right.
85, 90 degrees is actually quite hot.
Yeah.
Pickaxing as you were.
As I was.
Which I feel like we need, like, Vermont bad A blank medals. I don't know can we swear on this? I mean, you guys sometimes do, but no.
Well, it depends. We often have these discussions about what constitutes a swear word, and we try to imply the word without saying it, which can be tricky.
Yeah, I can't say bad butt because that's a code word for a bodily function in my circle of friends.
Oh, okay. But you can say a donkey.
A bad donkey.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the same ring. You are an awfully tough person. Let's say that.
Okay. Okay.
I feel like maybe we need some badges made up.
Oh yeah, I see what you're coming full circle back around to the pickaxe.
Yes,
the fact that I was pickaxing.
You were pickaxing, and that it was a good 85, if not up in the 90s.
It's really a test of willpower.
Yep, and enjoying being bathed in sweat, or at least being zen enough to just handle it.
Yeah, but the good thing about getting that hot is that it gives you permission to have things like Coca-Cola. Yeah, you know what I mean. Coca-Cola or Pepsi.
Oh, I don't like that.
Or root beer.
Nope, I don't like soda when it's really hot because it's like only like the first moment it touches my mouth is good, and then everything after really is bad. I don't like it. It makes my teeth hurt. It quickly gets sticky and yucky.
Okay,
but I fully support you in drinking soda when it's hot.
Yeah, I have been doing it much more lately than I ever have in my life. I mean, usually I'd have maybe 2 sodas a summer, and it would be a big treat. But this year I've just gone whole hog.
Whole hog on the soda train.
Yeah, I think I've had it every week. I've had a soda.
Some of our listeners may not feel like that's a lot. But again, with the relativity, it's not hot. That's not a lot of soda. I mean, to each her own.
Yeah. I try to drink water.
I drink a lot of water. And in the summer, I drink iced coffee because I don't want to eat when it's hot. It's weird. I love eating.
I like to eat at night, but I don't feel very hungry during the day.
Yep.
But I make up for it at night.
Actually, that's true. I do
Yeah.
too.
So you stay up late enough.
Yeah,
You'll
I get
make
home
up for it.
very, very hungry, eat a bunch of food, and then 3 hours later, I'm like, what's going to be the second dinner that I eat tonight?
Yeah, good.
Should it be sweets
I know.
or other food?
I'm glad I'm not the only one that does that. I think also when you work outdoors and you work with your body, you give yourself permission also to eat a little more, which is nice.
I use a lot of calories,
Yeah.
so I got to take in a lot of calories to maintain this physique.
Yes.
Listeners, I like
Yes.
to maintain it.
Yes. You should see this physique. These two physiques.
These two physiques, remarkable.
Yeah, just amazing. And I'm so glad we're on the radio.
Yeah.
That's why I do radio, because I don't have to deal with the whole visual aspect of it. And some people say, well, why don't you videotape your podcast or your radio show? It's like, no.
Then we would reveal all our nervous tics, all our weird expressions.
Well, I guess some people really like to see that stuff.
Oh, well.
I don't like to show that stuff.
Too bad for you.
Like right now, I'm winding the cord of my headphones around my index finger on my left hand, for example. If I was on video, you could see that.
And I'm rubbing my feet together. I'm curled up in a chair.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting properly.
I've got crossed legs. I'm sitting kind of sideways because the microphone is at an odd angle. So for me to see Kendra and to also speak into the microphone, I have to twist my body. But I'm lithe.
Lithe, lean, mean, ready to chat.
Yep. So I know it's Personal Growth Friday.
Indeed it is.
So what do you want to talk about? You started
Personal
this.
Growth Friday this week for me was about discernment, which my Buddhist people / anybody who's ever been in therapy / anybody who reads any self-help books might be familiar with.
Yeah.
So discernment, and for me this week it was about, former listeners will know, I'm exploring the world of dating in a rural area.
Oh, yes.
It is probably entertaining for people who aren't doing it. It's a little fraught for me sometimes. Mm-hmm. But I had met a couple cool people who were relatively close by, which is basically a miracle.
Yeah, in a rural area, for sure.
Yeah. And then this week, I had the new experience of letting one of them know I didn't think I wanted to go on dates with them anymore.
How many dates did it take?
Well, it took 2 dates, but we had been in touch for since May. So over several months, we'd only gone on 2 dates, but we had texted and called out. We're both busy people here and there.
Actual phone calls where you talked?
Kristina, no one does that anymore. Unless I've known them for a long time. No.
You said the phone. You said phone call. Didn't you say phone call?
Texts and conversations, but I guess that's a looser
theory,
a looser concept than it maybe used to be.
I heard the word phone, but
it was via a cellular
using
phone.
a device.
Yeah, using a device. I communicated
the device formerly known as
which
the
I
phone.
would have to say. I mean, the texting thing is really helpful if you're anxious at all, which, of course, if you're dating someone new, I mean, you probably are, unless you're some kind of superhero. I don't know you. But I wonder if it contributes to kind of keeping a certain kind of distance after the point when maybe it would be helpful not to have that. That it wouldn't have helped in this situation. There were some red flags. My Personal Growth Friday aspect of this is being able to discern that those small yellow flags that came up early on.
Caution.
That I kind of paid attention to, but was like, I'm just going to wait and see. And then I waited and saw. And then this week we were supposed to go on another date. And another thing happened. And the flag seemed kind of red to me. And I had a whole little while of thinking about it on the farm, out in the field, being like, now, is this a thing that anybody else would care about?
Okay, it went from yellow to red.
It was red for me, and I had to really wrestle with the idea that something that was a red flag to me might be a green flag to somebody else. But does not change the fact that relativity, again, it was a red flag to me, and I was like, all right, well, cool. I'm not really down for dealing with whatever that is, so I let them know. Straightforward, honestly.
Okay.
Like, cool.
Would it be too personal to reveal what that thing was that was the deal breaker for you?
Well, I am not a huge drinker, and this person had been open from the start that they are a pretty big drinker. and I do have a history of romantic partnerships with people who are big drinkers that have not gone well.
Oh, okay.
And so, yeah, that yellow flag was that they kind of said they were, and then there was like a little bit of stuff that I thought was a little weird around alcohol, and then they checked in via the phone, the actual telephone. They left me an actual telephone message because they weren't sure if their texts were going through. They left a message about our next date details and said, "Oh, if I sound drunk, it's because I am."
Nice.
Yeah. And I listened to it and was like, huh. I don't know what's going on for them on a Wednesday night. I don't know what their life is like.
Yeah.
Maybe they're having a rough time.
Sure.
Also, I'm not that into that.
What I really like about this is that, first of all, that person was so honest.
Oh, yeah.
That this early in the game, they were willing to just say, hey, here's what's going on for me.
Here's what's up with me. This is what I do. This is my life.
Yeah, and that you could, you used your power of discernment to say, I don't want to go farther into this because, I could, but...
Yep, I like them. They're cool.
Yeah.
They're attractive. They're a really interesting person. But, I'm 38 years old. I've been around the block a few times. And I think there's some gut feelings I was getting. And I have learned in the last couple years, trust your gut. Oh. Just trust your gut.
Yeah, that is hard sometimes.
It is hard. And I also didn't want to hurt their feelings. And I didn't want to judge them. Because I'm not saying there's anything wrong with anything that they did. It just doesn't work for me.
Right. Well, what do you think about when you're dating a person and you feel really super, super good when you're with them, but when you're not with them, you don't really
think about them or miss them?
Yeah, you kind of just don't think about it that much. But then you get back together and it's absolutely the greatest thing.
Yeah, that to me sounds like that classic case of we're looking for what we had when we were 16 and you just are obsessed with somebody and you can't stop thinking about them all the time. I'm not saying I don't like that, because I do. But I also hear that it doesn't, maybe to be with someone and have a super good time when you're with them and then it's just kind of not really something you're too concerned about otherwise. Maybe that's a symptom of having a multifaceted life full of other things.
I'm glad you said that because I've been thinking that it could be that.
Yeah.
But since I don't have a history of having really great relationships.
Yeah, it's all new.
Yeah, I couldn't recognize a good relationship if it knocked me upside the head. Yeah. So this is good news to me.
Yeah, that's my discernment thing. Probably not earth-shattering to other people. But to me, to be able to get past my fear of hurting this person's feelings and just be honest, I have a good friend and I texted her first and said, this is the situation. I'm thinking I'm going to do this. And I said, I don't want to be rude. And she said, no, this just sounds like common sense. It's not a match.
Yes.
End of sentence.
Right. That's right.
Not a match. And the person I was dating took it super well. It was fine. It was all great. Personal Growth Friday, just do it.
I'm down with that. And to celebrate that, I'm going to play a track of music now.
Perfect. Good timing.
This is from Wagtail. Bunch of tunes. Here we go. that was wagtail.
Wagtail.
Wagging tails across America. Wag more, bark less.
Wag more, bark less.
That was our motto.
Take heed, my dog Harper.
Yeah.
Oh, Kristina, do you have a topic to talk to me about? Because if you don't, I have something I want to check in with you and our listeners about.
I'm happy to go with your flow.
All right, man. As I PSA'd on the internet, I have this list of topics that to me reads like the table of contents of a book. And that's another topic of how a lot of things to me seem like band names or memoir titles.
Yeah.
That happens a lot. I feel like that ties in with hashtags and humans need to categorize things. But one of the top one says sleep psychosis. And I'm curious if anybody else gets this. So in the morning, I set my alarm for a nice early 5:30 because I got stuff to do.
Yep.
And the alarm goes off. And I hit snooze a couple 10 times.
10? Wait, 10 times?
Because in the midst of the alarm going off, I'm in this half awake, half asleep state that I call sleep psychosis, where I can rationalize almost anything.
Oh.
And I'm like laying in bed, hitting the snooze, rearranging my schedule and like prioritizing tasks while I'm basically asleep. So yeah, in real life, it is not a rational choice.
But you somehow enjoy that time period. Would you say it's an enjoyable experience to do that?
It actually makes me kind of anxious, like I'm asleep/anxious, but it is, I think I'm just tired.
So it's not like you're doing your best thinking of the day.
Hence the words sleep psychosis.
Right, okay, gotcha.
But then what happens is that leads to another condition that I'm curious if other people get that I call late morning fury.
Ooh.
When you wake up and you're like, uh-oh, I now have 30 minutes to do 90 minutes worth of stuff before I have to run out the door for something that somebody else, needs me to be present for.
Now you're stressed out.
Now I'm stressed out. I'm mad because the dog, and I open the door and I'm like, go forth and do what you gotta do, and the dog is waiting for me to escort her to poop, and I'm like, I don't have to be a witness to this.
You can do this by yourself.
You can just make it happen.
You've done it a lot of times.
I actually said to her this morning, it is your time to shine. Go do it. She did not listen.
How'd that go? No. Okay.
And then so this all leads, I'm curious if other people experience this, and then part of late morning fury is that inevitably you're gonna spill the coffee.
Oh, yeah.
And your toast is going to fall butter side down.
Yeah.
Into some dusty corner of your home. Now, am I just talking about myself here?
Kendra, you are not talking just about yourself.
Is this universal?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what the percentages are, but I'd say they're pretty high. I, on the other hand, have constructed my life so that I do not usually have to get up to any kind of alarm.
Oh, gosh. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Well, see, you're a farm worker. This is the difference between being a farm worker and a landscaper.
Oh, that's right.
Okay. But there are landscapers certainly who start their day at 7:30.
Yes. The ones I've worked for start at like 7:30.
Yeah, I'm not. I have constructed it so that I don't have to get to work till 9 or 10.
You're the boss of you.
I am the boss of me, and I'll work until 7 or 8 at night.
Right.
This time of year I can get away with that.
Right.
So I usually get up at the same time. I like to have time in the morning because my brain does work well.
Yeah.
And I need to have that time to myself.
And do you just wake up on your own at like a reasonable time?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
See, that's my problem is maybe after like a year of practice that would happen. But for now, given free reign, I would just sleep till 10 or 11 every day.
See, I can't. I can't sleep past 7 usually.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just even if I go to sleep at 1 in the morning.
Wow.
I wake up at 7.
I've known others like you.
Yes.
I don't identify with this.
No. Well,
interesting.
I don't know what it is, but so I can go maybe 3 days with minimal amount of sleep, and then I have to go to bed early, but I'm still going to wake up at 7.
I fight. I'm like an infant. I fight going to bed early. I don't know. It's really counterintuitive. I know I'm exhausted. I know I need to go to bed, but I just won't do it.
Have you ever been exhausted but not sleepy?
Yep. Oh, yeah.
I've been getting that a lot lately.
Yep.
I've worked about as hard as I can work. I lay down and I'm not sleepy. It's like my whole body is, vibrating with energy.
Yep.
So it's almost like the physical activity energized me and now I can't sleep.
Yes.
So that's odd.
Yes. I don't know why that happens.
Yeah.
It's actually really annoying because
Yeah.
I know that the next day is going to be very unpleasant because I was really tired and I'm not getting the rest that I need.
Yeah. There you go.
Maybe it's about the moon phases. I don't know.
Well, anyway, have you come up with some kind of remedy for this pattern that you have, this behavioral pattern? Do you want to continue with your sleep psychosis routine?
You would extrapolate to me doing something different, wouldn't you?
I know you brought it up so that we could get to a solution.
It was an unconscious more Friday personal growth.
Yeah, we are trying to.
You know what I probably need is some sort of automatic switch for the internet that shuts it off at 8:00 at night. I mean, I'd probably read a book, but I have a better track history with just going to bed and reading a book than I do of being on the internet.
I think you bring up a good point, which is that those long hours that we spend on the internet at night also kind of
blue screening ourselves.
Yeah, they jostle our electrons. I mean, I can't think of a different way to say it. They sort of they create a little frenetic activity in the electrical system.
They being, I don't know, some authority somewhere tells me that the light that the screen emits actually does mess up your rhythms.
You think a different kind of a screen would make a difference?
Nope. From what I have read, this actually happens to lots of people, and you need to shut off your electronics like an hour or two before you want to go to sleep.
Yeah, because there's a certain kind of mental activity that it engenders by, the hip-hopping around to all the different things and the
quick reads.
interruptus. What do you call it? Something like that.
Sleepus interruptus.
Yeah, or wakeful interruptus. It's just, you don't stay on one thing for very long. Okay. This is a question. If you are surfing around the internet and you start reading an article, out of 10 articles, how many do you actually finish?
Well, I have a different approach.
Okay.
Most of my articles I'm getting via people sharing them on Facebook, and Facebook has the save function. So I save the link into this vast chamber that I barely ever go back to. So if I don't have the time or if it's not just interesting enough, or I feel like I have the mental stamina to deal with it, I save it. Otherwise, I open it in a tab, and some days I'll read 4 or 5 articles all the way through.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a matter of pride that I have to finish it.
Me too.
And then some days those tabs just stay open. Mm-hmm. For instance,
Today.
There has been one open for the last 2 weeks, and I just put my computer to sleep every evening.
That's exactly what I do.
Leave it. And then I open it and I'm like, oh, I should read that.
That's exactly what I do. And then finally, after maybe 2 weeks of having that article there, with my computer, if I don't shut it down periodically, everything starts to go haywire. So I say, I've got to shut down my computer. This just happened this morning. And so I have to go bookmark stuff. It's different. I don't use that save function, although I've seen it. It's more that I'll bookmark it, and I say if it's really important, I'll go back to the bookmark.
Right. Do you ever? Rarely?
Sometimes. Sometimes, yeah. Yeah. So, and then sometimes if you're lucky, when you close your computer, when you reopen your browser, it'll say restore last session.
And then you can
restore everything reopens.
Your intentions for the life you want to be living instead of the life you are living. This really ties in with my organizing, and, now is the new later.
Emily and I used to, sometimes we'd go through our history on our browsers on the show.
Oh
just
my gosh.
To look at the crazy stuff for example, this morning I'm looking at my history and I see that I went and looked at a site that's called Learn Mentalism, Mind Tricks, Secrets Revealed.
What is mentalism? Is that a British word? I've heard British people say mentalist, and
No.
I always think they mean like magician.
Well, it is. It's part of the world of magic. It is. And the reason I know this is that I was invited to play at a party last weekend.
Ooh.
And the headlining entertainment for this party was a mentalist.
So what?
Well, the mentalist was such an incredible performer. They flew him in from Vancouver, Canada.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Wow. So what did he do?
Well, that's what I was trying to Google it this morning because I thought I can't even figure out how he could have possibly done what he did. Because what it appears like is that he's reading people's minds.
Oh, okay.
Like he's psychic. That's the illusion that you get. And so the question was, well, how much of that is illusion and how much of it might actually be true?
Right.
And what I came up with online is that 80% of what they do is a performance. Mm-hmm. So they kind of get you, they catch you.
They're empaths. They pick up cues. And then they know how to kind of spin that where it goes.
Possibly. I think it might not even be as tricky as that. It might just be, body language or something. But they also are actually doing some tricks, manipulations. What do they call it? Sleight of hand. There is some of that in there, but it's so good that you don't even realize it. But it's interesting. I haven't figured it all out yet, but I just thought I'd mention that was an interesting way to spend my Saturday.
Oh yeah.
Evening.
No, I'm totally into that kind of thing because I like to be entertained and I like to be I read books. I like stories. I like to be transported someplace different than my regular life.
I think you would have dug this.
Oh, I totally love that and it actually makes me think of puppets. I love puppets because you can take this weird inanimate doll and make me believe that it is living a little life. I'm totally into that.
You love puppets?
I do.
Did you ever get scared by a puppet?
Nope.
I have gotten scared by puppets.
Who scared you with a puppet?
I just puppets scare me.
Just in general?
Well, because you don't see the people behind.
I know, it's magical. It's like the puppets are
scary.
Alive. Oh, really?
Scary.
I think it's awesome.
What if there's some evil force behind the puppet?
Oh, I've never thought that. I'm just like, those puppets. I would prefer to think the puppets are just doing what they want to do.
Well, it's a little bit like fear of clowns.
Clowns are different to me because I'm like, that's a weird adult.
That's what I mean.
Doing some creepy stuff.
There are weird adults behind puppets as well.
That's true, but they're just so skillful.
Oh, there's some
It's like tools. I'm into tools. I don't know. For some reason, that they don't freak me out. I love them.
Yeah, I just want to back up a little bit because I personally know some of the most wonderful puppeteers on the planet. So this is not a blanket statement about puppeteers being weird.
Gotcha.
But when I was a kid, I was particularly terrified of shadow puppets.
Really?
To this day, I do not want to see a shadow puppet ever.
My friend did some a couple weeks ago that were amazing. I can't remember what they were, but I just remember being like, "Oh, that's awesome." Because I don't know how to do that. And you know what it is? I think I don't know how to do that. It looks so real. To me, that is magic, and I'm totally into having that in my life.
That it transports you. And then there's like bread and puppet, which is a little bit better because it's outdoors, and you can kind of
It's a little clunky. It's not like Quicksilver magical, like, a really amazing marionette show.
You see the people for the most part.
I mean, and they're huge puppets.
Yeah, and even with the people on stilts, you can get a little glimpse of their pant leg or something. So there's a human there.
Oh, that's really funny. Mine is that they're just so slow. They're big puppets and they're slow. And so that personality part that a really skillful puppeteer or even, Buster Keaton.
Oh, I love
with the
him.
forks in the bread rolls.
Oh, I
doing
love
the
him.
dance.
Yeah,
you guys should Google that. Buster Keaton, forks, bread rolls. He makes these bread rolls become feet and do a little dance. I have always been into that. Like, when I was a kid, I used to make a little person out of my fingers.
Well, see, I like that because you can see him. He's sitting right there. So there's.
But if you look hard enough at the thing that's moving, it has a personality.
Yes, but you can look to him if you get freaked out. Like if you just saw the feet moving, if just like a couple of buns on forks, and you saw them move. This is why I hate cartoons.
Oh, yeah, I was actually wondering about that. Yeah, I like cartoons also.
Yeah, but see, going back to Bread and Puppet, one of the reasons I could deal with that is that it's outdoors and you can escape. Like if you're not trapped in a room with puppets.
Fair enough. Kristina Stykos.
Wow, I feel like I just got something big off my chest.
We're really having some breakthroughs.
Yeah.
Kristina Stykos needs to see the human side of animated creatures.
Yeah, just don't tell anybody that I'm
So do you like those animations where you can like see people's hands in them? Like doing the drawings?
I hate claymation.
Really?
Sorry, that wasn't your question.
We've opened a real vein, a rich vein here.
So when the drawing ones are okay. If you can see the human hand drawing something, it's okay.
Oh, okay.
But I always like Gumby. Gumby is borderline psychotic.
Well, Gumby is a weird dude anyway.
Pokey?
Very weird character. Yeah, Gumby and Pokey. They're just weird. They also like do weird stuff to each other.
But I'll tell you something. I have a Gumby and a Pokey in my
well, I think my mom has them too. I think it's a generational
Yeah, I haven't
thing.
thrown them away. I mean, some of those children's toys you just want to destroy because they're so terrifying.
Wait, so you have them in your bathroom?
Yeah. Well,
do they freak you out?
No, they're miniature ones.
Yep.
So the Gumby's only about 3 inches, so he's manageable.
Okay, so should he come alive, you could take him, is what I'm hearing.
I could take him down.
You could take Gumby.
Yeah, I could. Or I could flush him down the toilet. He's just small enough, probably.
All right.
Anyway, on that happy note.
Kristina could take Gumby.
Yeah.
That's going to be a headline.
I feel good now. I feel exercise.
I think we need a little musical break.
Yes, we need a musical break. This is a track of music. What is this? I think this is Davy Davis's from one of his albums. It's called Papa's Angel.
Oh.
And let's see what it sounds like. Came to an abrupt end.
It is over.
That was great. That lifted me up.
Out of my he whose name we shall not say anymore.
That's right, but it starts with a G.
It ends with an E.
Yeah. So how did we get talking about that anyway? I can't even remember what digression that digressed from.
I don't know. I have two things I would love to talk about with you.
Yep.
So one thing is, I know that this show is not big on current events outside of this rivershed, let's say, this watershed, which I respect. I will say I've been thinking a lot of current events. Everybody knows been kind of rough lately. It's exhausting. It's difficult. It's made me really think about my place in the world and what I could do differently. And one thing that I've thought a lot about is small towns. We all live in small towns, and there's sort of like a code where we all know we don't agree on some bigger issues, but we're not going to bring it up most of the time because we have to talk to each other and be around each other all the time.
Yeah, and there's not enough of us that comprise a certain thought group.
Right. You can't isolate yourself in that
you
fashion.
have to relate to everybody.
Right. And so I think my curiosity is some of the issues that are coming up these days require us to actually have hard conversations with each other. And given the small town ethos of not talking about hard stuff, I'm really curious how we all are going to do that.
That's interesting because I had a very similar thought, but on a much smaller scale this morning as I was driving down here, and I was noticing some of the lawn signs, for Phil Scott, for Bernie, whoever. And I was thinking to myself how I never would put out a lawn sign. And then I thought, well, I should ask Kendra if she, and I thought, oh, Kendra would put out a lawn sign.
I totally would, but nobody sees my lawn. I live down a long driveway up a dirt road, so it's like kind of a moot point.
But you would put one out if they could.
Yes, I would. Yeah. And I would expect somebody to destroy it quickly.
Yeah.
That's because the flip side of not talking about things is that people, well, it's sort of like you go in the general store and the talk ceases and you know they were talking about you. And it's, I don't even get offended. I'm just like, yeah, that's what we do here. We don't talk about things face to face. We talk about it behind our backs.
It might not even be that they're talking about you, but they're going to talk about you.
So it just you walking in reminded them.
Yeah. They just want to, they stop and they look at you and they want to take a good gander.
Yeah. They want to really get some ammo for later.
Because when you walk out, they're going to say, what? Anybody know who that was?
I didn't realize that it was like that till I was in my late teens, early 20s. I didn't realize everybody knows everything about each other in these small towns, and they talk about each other all the time, and things I thought, I didn't realize how judged I was being until then.
How much of it is misinformation, would you say?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I'd say it's pretty high level of misinformation.
That's interesting because I'm so gullible that when I hear stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, that must be true. Well, I am smart enough to know that a lot of it's opinion. So I don't even know if it's always misinformation, but it's one person's perspective, and it's going to be very different than another's.
But you know how that is, spreading misinformation. It's just like when a politician says something enough times, even if it's false, it will become a reality, or it will become the only thing that somebody thinks of.
Yeah. It'll be the first thing that you think of in relation to somebody.
So it'd be, if I could take an informal survey, say up in my town, and say, well, what do people think of? What are the first three adjectives you think of when you hear the name Kristina Stykos? It'd be very interesting to see those three adjectives was.
Well, see, that's the corollary for me of knowing that everyone talks about each other. I don't want to know what they think of me. I am fine with everybody saying it to each other. Do not leave it on my doorstep. What you think of me is your business.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
I agree with that one.
I don't want to know. I'm self-conscious enough.
Yeah, when stuff comes back to you, it's really strange because you don't really know where it came from or who started it or... it's tough stuff.
And I think that you and me and Emily are fairly averse to confrontation of any kind.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy it.
I know. We are.
have a big mouth, but I don't enjoy confrontation.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's also, I think we bend over backwards to try, when we are talking about other people, we try to give it some sense of balance.
Sometimes.
Yeah, well, maybe when it's just the three of us.
But just the three of us, a little less so. But I do that. And I do try to have some kind of, I do try to acknowledge that even at my most obnoxious and virulent, it's just my perspective, and it's fully colored by my experiences.
And it could change with new information.
Yes.
You'd be very willing to change your opinion.
Yes.
Right? I mean, I do feel that way.
Yes.
That I always try to be open to the fact that what I see is just a certain slice of, it's like looking through my glasses.
Yeah.
And that, it's like there's so many just common situations where people turn out to be heroes. I think almost anybody in the right situation could just blow you away with their humanity and their compassion and so on. And so I always just remember that even when I have a negative feeling about somebody, I'll think, well, what if we were in some kind of disaster together and that person might shine. They might have some gift. They might have something that just surprised me completely.
I mean, and that's sort of the thing around here. It is easy to get really swept up in whatever your point of view is, particularly about some of the hard stuff we're all working on as a nation. And I think that's good. And I think it's important because some things are just facts. And like you're saying, there is a lot of misinformation out there. And around here, you're dealing with people on an individual basis. So there's a separation between what people think or what your opinion is and how you act or who you are. Because people who I disagree violently with will still pull over when my car breaks down and give me a ride.
Right.
That's just how it is here.
Yep.
It doesn't, like, maybe it's the climate. Physical survival here trumps political persuasions.
I think people are basically curious, too. I mean, given the opportunity to help your neighbor out who you think you don't like or you don't respect.
Right.
There's something in human nature that says, well, let's see what happens.
Yeah. And I do sometimes wonder, though, and I don't necessarily think this is true, but I wonder how much of that is because most of us look alike here. So there aren't quite as many issues coming up for that guy to pull over and help me. I look like what he knows.
Yeah, we don't have those kind of issues.
Yeah.
We create, it's almost like we create subsets.
Yeah.
If most of us are white, for example, which you might be referring to, then we have to create subsets that divide us within being white. Oh, she's a flatlander.
Right.
Oh, she's a hippie. Oh, she's a whatever. So it's I guess it's just human nature to try to create divisions, but I think it's equally true that's human nature to try to find common ground. So what are you going to do with that?
Yeah. You're going to pull over, hopefully.
Yeah, you're going to pull over for sure.
Give people a ride. Oh, man, we have a short time left together.
We have a short time. I'm just trying to see. What do we got? Like 5-6 minutes?
5-6 minutes.
And we're going to have one track of music at the end. But
you said a thing when we were listening to Davy Davis's song. You said a thing that stuck with me. We didn't get famous. What do we do now?
Hey, I was talking about the aging musician population.
But I think that applies to a lot of us. I mean, I really in my 20s thought I didn't think I'd be famous by now, but I was like, oh yeah, I'm not one for a 5 or 10 year plan. I just had vague ideas that I'd be doing big stuff, and now I'm like, oh yeah, life is just you find yourself.
That's right.
And you're like, what am I doing now?
It's not as simple about as I'm gonna be well known or famous or I'm not. There's a lot more that goes into a life. There's a lot of things that come up that for us to wrestle with, and that's more the building character side. Where did I hear? Was it Obama the other day? He said when he was speaking at the funeral of the policeman, and he said suffering creates perseverance creates character, and character creates... What was the last one? That was the most important one.
I don't know what it creates, character, but I did make a pledge to myself a while back that I would like to concentrate less on worrying about what I look like and more on building character. And I have been moderately successful in trying to do that. I'm pretty vain, so,
Good for you.
But I am recognizing at this stage of life that character actually is probably a lot more important.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Here I am, not paying attention to what you're actually saying because I'm trying to, here it is. Okay. Oh, this is what he said. He said, Scripture tells us that in our sufferings there is glory because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance character, and character hope. That was what it is.
I have a pretty critical take on that, but I do think it sounds nice.
Well, it's something to think about. I'm not one that usually uses Scripture as a jumping off point, but I realize that our president is. So
Yes.
If we took that part out of it and we just looked at suffering and perseverance and character and hope.
I don't necessarily think that suffering creates hope. I actually think suffering just is suffering a lot of the time and creates, crappy healthcare and a lot of other things. But I hear what he's saying. In theory, it'd be nice if that was what it did. And I think in moderate amounts, that might be true.
Well, he kind of sets up this chain of suffering goes to perseverance directly.
Right.
How about that piece?
Depends on how badly you're suffering. But I would say that can be true.
Well, if it doesn't kill you.
If it doesn't kill you, I hope it creates perseverance.
Yeah.
Survival, a will for survival, which I guess we could say is perseverance.
Yeah, I would say that's true in my life, but,
Yeah, and that's what I mean. I think it depends on the degree of suffering we're talking about.
Yeah.
And I think that, again, that relativity, it just depends on where you're at. But I like that idea.
Yep.
It's a nice idea.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's all worth saying and thinking about.
Yes.
And so...
Yes. And so...
Now we must wrap up our show for good. You've been listening to 11th Hour Radio, streaming...
on Royalton Community Radio.
Exactly.
Streaming live.
WFVR.
Ooh, nice. The sign is covered up, so I can't do my favorite thing, which is the radio call thing.
Oh, 96.5.
96.5.
Yeah.
On your radio dial, if you're in this watershed.
Yes. And you've been listening to Kristina Stykos, that's me, and...
Kendra Colburn, that is me.
Kendra Colburn.
Cool. Kristina Stykos.
We'll be back next week.
I won't, but Emily will be back from PE Island. Look out for Gumby. Have a good week.
Bye.
I can't go home. My place is worn away. Something's gone, gone. I sleep alone. I walk the streets unguarded. Something's wrong. Well, times may be hard, but friends can be harder. Food may be scarce, but nothing's worse than heartache. I don't want to complain. I just want something to move me on. Move me on. Move me on. The city lights, they don't look pretty now. Where are the stars? Why do I work in this factory? I never see the sky. I can't even breathe now for all the cars. Well, times may be hard, but I can be harder. This living is a lie, and my heart can tell you why. I gotta be leaving. If I'm not learning, I'm gone. go home.